Let's get to the news. The 75th Annual Emmy Awards and the Iowa caucuses were held on Monday, and in both cases, the night's final award went to an angry man with terrible children. President Biden this week traveled to Philadelphia, as presidents typically do after a horrific disaster. President Biden today met with congressional leadership to discuss his request for security funding, which includes money for border security, because every day this guy's looking more and more like a flight risk. Vivek Ramaswamy announced this week that he was suspending his presidential campaign. He plans to return to his true passion, tearing down the teen rec center to build a shopping mall. You can do it. Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson also announced yesterday that he was suspending his presidential campaign. Did I say announced? I meant muttered to himself. What was that, Asa? No, nothing. No one talking to you. Are you still running for president, Asa? None of your business. In a new interview with Fox News, presidential candidate Nikki Haley said that the U.S. has, quote, never been a racist country. So if her campaign doesn't pan out, she could always get a job teaching history in Florida. Democratic Senator John Fetterman is reportedly working on a memoir titled Unfettered, and I like that every picture of him looks like he just thought of that title. Pixar is reportedly planning to lay off 20% of its workforce. Oh, come on! The man just lost his wife. In 2009. Both a specious premise and a huge bummer. That's what Mike Scollins brings to a monologue joke. It doesn't quite track, but everybody will be sad. A reptile wrangler in Australia was recently called after a mother found a venomous snake in her son's underwear drawer. Said her son, she didn't find anything else in there, did she? Apropos of nothing, does weed kill snakes? The Michael Kors suit worn by actress Nicole Kidman in the AMC pre-movie ad is set to go up for auction and is expected to sell it for up to $10,000, or you could just use that money to go to the movies and get a snack. And finally, Taco Bell has released a new cinnamon twist cereal, which hopefully sells better than their last one, Tacos. In a new interview on The View, Vice President Kamala Harris said that the 2024 election will come down to, quote, competence versus chaos. Of course, if you're watching The View, you've already chosen chaos. In the same interview, Harris criticized presidential candidate Nikki Haley's statement that the U.S. has never been a racist country and said, quote, we cannot get to a place of progress by denying the existence of racism, but you can get to the Republican nomination for president. President Biden traveled to North Carolina today and spoke about his administration's funding for high-speed internet, which is why he's the only candidate endorsed by Pornhub. In a post this week, they were as surprised as anyone. In a post this week on Truth Social, former President Trump referred to Nikki Haley using her given first name of Nimrata and misspelled it, though I bet no one noticed that mistake on Truth Social. They're still having a hard time with your and your. During a rally last night in New Hampshire, former President Trump mocked President Biden's competence and asked the crowd, quote, would you trust Joe Biden to run your store while you go off to New Hampshire to find a small hill to go skiing? And the crowd responded with a resounding, what? Like, we're on your side, man, but what? Trump also complained about his ongoing legal issues and said, quote, you know, I've been indicted more than Al Capone, and I honestly can't tell if he's bragging or complaining. You know, old guys reach a stage where those things sound the same. I got up at 5:30 this morning. Okay, good job. Sorry, I don't know what you want. In a new interview, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates said that he's giving away money at a rate of $9 billion a year and not one penny of it to a barber. A state lawmaker in Kentucky recently introduced a new bill that would make it legal for a person to have sex with a first cousin, while Alabama is making it mandatory. I mean, I don't want to judge, but that just doesn't seem right. Copy of the first issue of the Amazing Spider-Man comic was recently sold at auction for $1.38 million. Said the winner's wife, he doesn't have a wife. A production company announced yesterday it's developing a Chuck E. Cheese-themed competition show that will have adult contestants try life-size versions of classic arcade games, like the one where you try to eat enough pills to get through a kid's birthday party. And finally, the restaurant Applebee's has announced that it will launch a date night pass. The way it works is you say date night, and she says pass. And that was a monologue, everybody.